tuned into Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, the Straggler's massive kids' charity car show from Lake Karapiro. And we meet the man putting the West Auckland into hot rod festivals, Kumeu's Ken Galvin. But first up, our mates at Niedercar bring you an old-school muscle car that's copped a good dose of late-model motivation and styling. Meet Craig and his 70 Dodge Challenger, the stunning result of a collaboration between Matamata's Obsession Muscle Cars and, well, get this, Craig's Farm Workshop.
Most builds get out of control. It followed a pretty normal pattern.
Now, Farm Workshop might be a little bit of an understatement. Craig's includes a CNC machine, and with a background in mechanical and engineering, he's not shy to use it. His son, a machinist by trade, is also a rather useful person to have milling around.
There's a few boxes around here with little bits that my son brings out to remind me and says, "Why did you do it like that?" Perfect way to take good aluminium and make it into scrap metal. Yeah, that mill over there, yeah.
All that was missing then was the car.
I found it on Trade Me, was in Christchurch. Finally, it irked me enough that I hopped on a plane and flew down for the day. The bones of the project were really good, and it was just up to us to finish it off in the manner it started it, really.
Sounds simple enough, right? In fact, the former owner estimated the Challenger was only 100 or so hours from done.
Yeah, no, he was just out by about 4,000 or 5,000. Basically, it came in boxes. I was just going to put it back together. No.
While the Dodge was off to a great start, Craig had ideas of his own, a lot of them, and most were very labour-intensive, crafting custom touches to create himself a truly one-off muscle car.
Nobody can ever realise how many hours go into some things unless they've done it themselves, and not feeling ashamed of throwing it away and starting again, even though you have spent all day doing something. Yeah, because it's just not working.
Where Craig did save a bunch of hours was in the running gear. The Challenger came with an 8.4-litre Viper V10 and Tremec Magnum box. And while it wasn't in the car, a lot of time had gone into getting it up and running.
He had spent 2 years sending computers backwards and forwards to America, getting the security systems taken out of them so that it would run outside the original, the donor vehicle, the Viper. Yeah, it's a choice I didn't have to make.
First step for Craig was to formally introduce the two. The 70s firewall and floor pan got the chop, and the motor set nice and low in place before the car could be reconstructed back around it. Extra chassis rails stiffen up the centre of the car. The factory K-member, together with the steering and torsion bars, went too, replaced by a modern Magnum Force kit, sporting rack and pinion steering and coilovers. It also made things much simpler when upgrading to big brakes. A 5-link and coilovers went in out back, and it was about at this point that Craig searched out the talents of Ian and Adam at Matamata's Obsession Muscle Cars to help see the car to completion.
I don't know anybody in New Zealand that would be more capable of restoring a Mopar of any vintage than Ian. It's what he does, it's what he enjoys, and people that enjoy what they do always make a good job of things.
Ian has the Mopar bug as bad as they get, but he is something of a purist. Having first subjected him to the Viper powertrain and a host of modifications, Craig saved him the biggest curveball till last. When faced with an alarming lack of spares to straighten out the big coupe's nose and tail, Craig suggested a major change in direction and generation, eyeing up Dodge's 2010-era retro-style Challenger.
I put it to Ian, "What do you reckon of this?" And he just gave me a very, very blank stare to start with. Certainly wasn't the cheapest idea I've ever had, but yeah, there was a lot of cutting off the front of the car before I got all the lights where I wanted them. And once again, then I took it back to Adam and said, "Yeah, make this look like it belongs here." Hey, it wasn't easy.
Merging two models designed 40 years apart is a brave move. In lesser skilled hands, it could be nothing short of a disaster.
It had to look like a 70 Challenger. and that's what makes it work. We haven't changed the number of headlights, we haven't changed the fog lights. They're all in the original positions. Same with the tail lights. It was a red band. We've conformed to how it was, but it's modernised.
And somehow, this 70s E-body muscle car with its custom sheet metal, the 2010 lighting and grills, custom spoilers, door handles, mirrors, oh yeah, and that interior, it still remains, somehow, subtle.
I didn't want an over-the-top car. I wanted it understated. There wasn't pipes coming out the side of it or bloody great big blowers out through the bonnet or anything like that. I wanted an understated car. Originally I was going to paint it quite an insipid colour, but they talked me around on the colour.
And while the 100 hours might have stretched into 5 long years, what Craig, together with the guys from Obsession Muscle Cars, have created is a Challenger that's quite unlike any other on the planet. A one-off custom machine to be proud of.
Why wouldn't you be? Why wouldn't you be? Why start the project if you're not proud of what you're going to achieve? Yeah, it's not about just owning a car. It's about the fact that we built that car.
Right, thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, it's a different sort of shed raid this week. We're off to meet the man behind one of New Zealand's biggest auto events, the Kumeu Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival. 25 years and counting, Kumeu is something of a West Auckland icon. He's been the promoter for most of Kumeu's quarter-century run, but Ken Galvin has been involved since day dot. The massive 2-day festival starting life as a humble club event under the National Street Rod Association banner.
It started out with like hot rods and stuff like that, then into cruisers. It's a participants event. If you like cars, just come along. We usually get about 5,000 cars there, Commodores all the way through to Falcons and hot rods, and we don't really know who's coming. All we do is we just put it in place and open up the gates and do the paperwork, and everybody that comes, it's their event, so they look after it pretty good. It's just a car cultural thing.
A car culture that's very proud of its uniquely West Auckland atmosphere.
Totally. It's the whole West Auckland thing. We're actually quite a laid-back sort of group of people. The guys that come to Kumeu and camp all the weekend, it's their event. And what they're doing is they're taking ownership of it as well. So they've got that attitude, and it's very laid back, and they know that it's just evolved that way because it's them that have evolved it, and all the participants have made it that way. So it is pretty different, and it won't change. It's pretty different because you just don't know what's going to happen.
With its 26th birthday rolling round in January, the festival these days is just that, a festival with live music, a food hall, trade stands and the swap meet, not to mention the New Zealand Strongman competition, Miss Kumeu, a beard competition and the National Barbecue Championships all in the lineup. Yep, there's something for everyone. But with thousands of cars and bikes on display, there's little doubt of the headline act. These days, steering the Kumeu ship is very much a family deal for the Galvins. It's not one without its challenges. 25 years down, and the requirements around health and safety, traffic management and waste have grown as rapidly as the festival itself. The relaxed show atmosphere hides a lot of work and cost behind the scenes, at times leaving Ken and Desmo wondering what sort of monster they've created.
Yes, every day we do it. We don't sleep, it's just like full on. But I would do it all again tomorrow. Hot rodding's given me a good life, and I'd like to give it back to them how I think hot rodding should be. It's actually turned into I didn't see my mate there last year, and they actually own their own plot of land now. Even to the point where somebody rang up the other day and says, "Oh, my tree's gone. Where's my tree gone?" We're going, "Really?" It's like...
For Ken, a life member of Club Wheels Inc. and the Auckland Zone Director of the New Zealand Hot Rod Association, it's a lifelong deal, this hot rod game. And if Kumeu can play its part in the sport he loves, then it's a big investment well spent.
It's a really good thing. It's really positive that these car guys are like bringing more and more cars into the country, and it's great. What else is there you're going to do? You can play rugby and all that, break your knee or something like that, but then you can go and buy a car. Every car owner is proud of what he's got. They might be lawyers or doctors or whatever. All New Zealanders, I think, are all Westies when they've got cars. So it's the New Zealand way.
Make sure you head along to the 26th Jack Daniels Classic Car and Hot Rod Festival when it rolls into the Kumeu Showgrounds on the 18th and 19th of January.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage. Right, thanks to the nice folks at Maguire's, we're off to New Zealand's biggest one-day car show. And it's all for a great cause. Welcome to Straggler's Rod & Customs annual event, the charity custom and classic car display from Lake Karapiro.
It's open. It's basically open to any vehicles, makes and models. We have Australian, we have English, we have home built, we have hot rods, we have classics, we have vintage, we have motorbikes. Yeah, you name it, we've got it.
It's not just about hot rods, this car show. This is about the car culture in general.
And New Zealand's car culture continues to give back. In its 14 years, this massive car show has grown to the stage that the club loses count after entry stickers run out. One sticker per car through the gate, and after 1,400 stickers, it's into best guest territory. And those numbers aren't just bragging rights. Since the show's inception back at Cambridge's Lake Karapiro domain, the aim of the game has always been to raise funds for Waikato kids' causes.
So we fundraise for 3 children every year, and each child gets 2 years of fundraising. They're local kids who, for whatever reason, have got health difficulties that put a financial impact on themselves and their families, and we do whatever we can to help them out. And as I say, over the years, we've grown from being able to give a small cheque to, a sizable cheque to each of the kids each year.
You don't know until you get with these children just how much the money we raise helps them. These car people, these hot rodders, these car people, these vintage car people, they're just fantastic because they dip into their pockets. And of course we have sponsors. We go out there and get sponsors, and we couldn't do it without our sponsors, and we have some fantastic sponsors. But at the end of the day, the car people are here for the kids, and that's what it's all about.
Worthy causes are well and good, but perhaps still the biggest reason for the enormous turnout is the simple fact that it's a great day out. The Karapiro setting certainly doesn't hurt, but the show's cleverest trick is that it retains a low-key and relaxed vibe despite being right at the pointiest end of this country's biggest.
The families come out with all their children, and the kids love seeing the cars. They all pick their favourites, and they want photos and that with the cars, so it starts them young.
One of the Straggler's own had just returned from SEMA. We featured Martin Bennett's recreation of the 60s show rod Uncertainty a little earlier in the season, filmed only days before it was loaded on a container, a 7-year secret build, perhaps never to be seen on our shores again. While the car remains stateside waiting for the US car show circuit to crank up, we thought we'd better round up Mr. Bennett to see how the US reacted to his very ambitious tribute to one of their own.
Yeah, that was just an unbelievable experience. I guess when we started the project, I never perceived that this would be the reaction over there. The car went down really well. It's so many people remembered the car, and people said, "Oh, I had this model," and yeah, I'd do it again. I don't know if I'd want the amount of effort it took to get the car ready, but the experience of actually having the car there, and just the whole atmosphere of SEMA was just, 48 miles of aisleways. Right now, that's, I don't know, 70 k's or something. We couldn't walk around it in the whole time. Unbelievable. What a huge place.
Another Straggler's car has been making waves since its debut a year back. Cheryl Reed's Thistle, a Ford Model A delivery.
I started off with a Ford Pop. Wayne already had, my husband, he already had his Chev and wanted a car for myself. Found a little Ford Pop that I loved, and it just wasn't really going too well. Wayne saw the Model A advertised and went, "No, we're changing." So Ford Pop got scrapped, and we started with the Model A and decided to do something a bit different, go with a delivery. There's not a lot of deliveries around, not in Model A's anyway. Yeah, she developed from there, had a few changes over the years as we were doing it, but wanted something different. So the back door, I call her my hatchback, hatchback Ford Model A. But yeah, she stands out as being different. It got out of control. She was never meant to be a show car. There was never meant to be any shiny bits. It was just meant to be a runner. Little bits got added. We ended up with themes. We've got 2 themes going. There's the oval theme, and then the Thistle theme came out. And we'd been sitting there one night with Bretto, who built the car for us from Kaipaki Customs, and we were trying to think of a name, and he came up with Thistle. It's actually Ford Thistle is the paint. And we thought, well, she's been a bit prickly over the last few years, so let's go with Thistle, and it's stuck.
Thistle runs a 289 Windsor bored 40 thou over, which moves the hatchback that Ford never made along rather nicely.
Ford and a Ford with Ford paint, so you can't get more Ford.
Continuing our theme of fresh cars, we made a beeline for Brendan Tordoff's Sick Fish 70 Barracuda, running a 400 big block stroked out to 451 cubes. The Plymouth is no new car to our shores, but has only recently resurfaced after a long-term hibernation and overhaul.
15 years, I guess, somewhere in there. Did a few beach hops and a few events with it back then, and all we really did to it was put some wheels on it and lower it down a bit. And after a few years in the New Zealand temperature, we started to see a few horror stories coming through. So I decided to strip it back and fix a few things, and turned into more of a nightmare than we anticipated. So put it in the corner and left it. And then sort of 10 years later, I decided to get back into it, and the old man decided that he wanted to get involved because he's an ex-panel beater back in the 60s and 70s. He had the time and I didn't, so I helped when I could. And so pretty much got it to where it is today, yeah.
With much of the car requiring a major rework, the need to stay true to the original was somewhat diminished, meaning Brendan had no reservations in following his preferred pro-touring ambitions. The Sick Fish plates are a nod to a well-known American Hemi Cuda, one designed by Chip Foose and built for US celebrity Joe Rogan by Troy Trepagna.
I'd already had the car at that stage when they released that, so yeah, that definitely got me going. And after I've been to the US a few more times, I saw a few other cars similar. Obviously, waiting 10 years, a lot more parts available now than what it was back then as well. Back in those days, you couldn't even buy an original bumper or guard, or all that stuff was harder to get, especially the trim pieces and stuff. Whereas now you can buy it all, so it was probably worth the wait. The 14th Straggler's Charity Custom and Classic Car Show once again filled its Karapiro home to capacity. As we wrapped up this TV show, the numbers were still being tallied, but early indications suggest the donation to deserving kids' local causes will once again be in the tens of thousands. For Glenn and the outgoing show committee of the last 4 years, it's been a huge amount of work behind the scenes. Work that's been absolutely worthwhile on days like this.
I'm proud to be a Straggler. The club as a whole, over the last 13 years, We've probably raised over $200,000 which we've put back into these people, you know. It makes you proud to be a hot rodder and a Kiwi, as that's the way I put it.
Your ride needs some love? We've got you sorted. Thanks to our mates at Maguire's, we have this massive complete car care pack worth $700 to give away, plus a $500 mount shop voucher to keep the underside shipshape too. And to top it off, a 1-year subscription to NZ V8 magazine. To enter, simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. The winner will be drawn at the end of the series. Easy. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop. Undercar specialists. Maguire's. People who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car. The easy way to research and buy cars online.